Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So, I'm coming on here tonight. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Vicky Marie. I'm based in mainland Spain, and I talk about true crime not only in Spain, in the UK, in Australia, in Europe in general, in America. Um, And the case that I'm going to talk about tonight is a case that we've been following ever since it started. And this is the case of John George. Now, John George is a 37-year-old man from Northern Ireland. And this is a case because a case that I was particularly interested in right from the beginning, because John came to Spain on holiday from Northern Ireland and disappeared. And then it was, how can I put it? It was alleged that something had happened to John, that his life had been taken. His family had to come over to Spain to look for him, but look for his body, really, not to, I think it was generally accepted right from day one when his family came over from Northern Ireland to Spain that they were unfortunately looking for a deceased person, um, and they would never see this lovely smile of John's again. And that's the first thing I want to say before I start and just giving you this update is I'm so sorry for John's family. Whatever comes of this case, whatever it turns out in the end, the reason, if there was any reason for John being murdered. At the end of the day, he was murdered. He was brutally murdered. And John wasn't a saint. His family said that right from the beginning. He got involved in things maybe he shouldn't have got involved in. But nobody deserves the fate that John received. And, to me, I just think anyone who thinks that a member of their family cannot go down a wrong road, people do go down wrong roads and things do happen. And that doesn't take away from the pain, does it, for that family? Anyway, without going into sort of all that, at the end of the day, I think it was over a month before John was finally found. Because the other thing, of course, that happened for this man's poor family was they were given wrong details about where John was. They were searching in the wrong place. They actually was actively searching for him. They brought a search team over from Northern Ireland to help them, because don't forget, when people lose loved ones in foreign countries, they're not only up against the challenge of the fact their loved one's dead, which is bad enough in itself, of course, but they've got the language barrier. The way things work in different countries is, particularly the way things work in Spain is not the same as things work in Britain or Northern Ireland or wherever. So it would have all been a challenge. And at the end of the day, you want answers like now, don't you? Can you imagine if your loved one was missing in any foreign country that didn't speak your language, and you had to go over there looking for them, and you were demanding answers because you want answers, and you're dealing with the police force, such as the Guardia Civil or the Policía Nacional, or there's loads of different police forces in Spain. And none of them or should I say, all of them. They work very secretively, so it must have been so frustrating. I can't imagine what it must have been like. Anyway, they do have lawyers now working on their behalf and everything. 2 people were arrested for John's murder, one of which as a alleged witness. Again, it's all alleged because the actual court case hasn't come out yet. And then, of course, somebody has been arrested as the supposed perpetrator of John's murder. But it turns out the update that I'm going to go through here, I don't think we still know really exactly what happened, who actually, committed the act of murder. Is it going to be a case that these 2 main perpetrators are both going to blame each other, and then how will that all work out? And then there were other witnesses that were called in to give statements. Dan McMeekin, we talked about, he's, I think, back in Ireland now. He decided to give himself up, go back to Ireland where he had outstanding court cases because he was stabbed in the neck and nearly died himself. It's a horrible case, to be honest. It's a very violent case. John was stabbed in the leg. He was shot. And apparently now it turns out there was blood on the number plate of one of the people that's suspected. Was he run over? I mean, I feel, you just feel for his family because every new detail that comes out, none of it's good. Obviously, at the end of the day, John was murdered, but as the details come out of the brutality of it, that must be heartbreaking, even more heartbreaking. Anyway, the only good positive thing is that John was found eventually. Again, we're not clear really, was it one of the suspects that gave up his location? He was found miles away from where the family had been searching, in a lemon grove, in Rocales, in Alicante region, miles away from where the family had been searching and from where the search team that they brought over from Northern Ireland was searching. So when you think about it, now that was a total waste of time and effort. Not their fault. That's where they'd been told. It's awful, isn't it? It's bad enough to murder someone, but then to lead the family and friends on a wild goose chase, just horrible. Anyway, their karma will be coming one way or another, whoever did it. So what happened was, one of the suspects, Michael Malley, who is a Czech citizen. Now, whether he's the actual person who killed John, I don't know. I wasn't there, but he was treated better, if you like, because he did volunteer himself. And as I said, I'm not sure if it was him who actually said where John was in the end. But he was then released on bail. He's on bail. He's around walking free with conditions. He has to check in. He can't leave the country, etc. But he sort of did it in the right way, if that makes sense. He's sort of he's got himself a lawyer, gone along with whatever the procedures are in Spain, and he is out free, but I say free, with his conditions. However, Johnny Smith, the other guy, he, in my opinion, and he did the wrong thing because he went on the run. And if you're innocent, you should not go on the run, obviously. He went on the run, disappeared, removed himself from being able to be interviewed by the police. He got married in Gibraltar, and he then went off apparently to Portugal, and that's where he was finally caught, I think with some detective work from actually John George's family. The police in Portugal arrested him. He was extradited to Spain, and he's now in prison in Alicante, awaiting the trial. Now, the things that I'm going to talk about in this video is people are saying that he should be released because new evidence is coming out. Now, I'll leave you to make your own mind up about that, whether you think it, I mean, to me, I don't think he should be released. I don't know if he's guilty or he isn't guilty, but at the end of the day, he went on the run. So that's why the Guardia won't release him, obviously, because they're not sure that he won't go on the run again. Whereas with Michael Malley, he handed, where he could be the guilty one, but he's the one who handed himself in, played by the rules, and I suppose he's got his advantages from that, because he's got his freedom, at least conditional freedom, until the actual court case comes up. So that's it. But the one thing that we do know for certain is this 37-year-old father of two young boys, his mum and dad have been distraught, his sister, his brother, this guy is missed every day by his family. And one thing we do know is he didn't do it to himself. He didn't shoot himself in the face or stab himself in the leg and leave himself in some lemon grove right out in the Campo in Rojales in Alicante, Spain. And he's never done that to anybody else either. So although he might not be perfect, he might not be an angel, he did not deserve what happened to him. That's my opinion anyway. I'm sure you'll all let me know what your opinion. There are people who think, because of the lifestyle he led, not exactly that he deserved it, but it was sort of inevitable, according to some people. I don't believe it is. People do go the wrong way in life, but quite often they turn their life around, don't they? So, there was no reason why John might not have done that. And later, if he would have been given a chance. Anyway, at the end of the day, John is deceased, and his family are suffering day in, day out with the loss of him. And now they're waiting this long wait, as it is in Spain, for justice. His family, they just want to know what happened. They want somebody to be held, the right person, to be held accountable for it. And I don't think that's, that's what we'd all want, isn't it? Okay, so before I just go into these new updates that have come out, I just want to say thank you, as always, to everyone. Thank you to my subscribers. Thank you to all of you who like or share my videos. Very special thank you to my members. Every Thursday evening is a special exclusive members live. So please think about becoming a member if you enjoy this channel. Thank you to people that send me Ko-fis or super stickers or any support that people give me, emails, nice messages, etc. Thank you so much. And hello, lovely lurkers. Thank you for watching. Hi to those of you that are in the chat. I'm not going into the chat. I'm going to say hello to people that are in the chat, but I probably won't go into the chat again, just for the simple reason is I haven't got a lot of time. But hi, Tracy. Hi, Lily. Hi, Angel. Oh, and they're all chatting between themselves. Good. And thank you for the candle for John, Tracy, because we must not forget this video really, the crux of all of it is justice for John. And, and it's cold, at the end of the day, it's cold comfort, isn't it? When his family gets justice, when someone's held accountable, it'll be great in one way, but, it doesn't bring John back, does it? So it's sort of like justice is a sort of a cold comfort, I think, but better than no comfort whatsoever, isn't it? Because of course, quite often people don't get justice. That's bad, isn't it? So at least if they get justice, It helps, but it will not bring John back. And it seems to me, from what I've seen, from his family, etc., John has left a massive hole in his family. He was loved. Maybe wasn't, the angelic son or brother or father even, but he was loved, and that's important. Okay, so let's go to, so there's a couple of articles that I'm going to read you. These are updates. I think we don't know when the court case will be, it'll be in probably in Spain in August. A lot of court things just stop. They just don't happen. The courts close, and so it's not likely to be soon. But anyway, so let's first of all, I want to go to this information about the phone. Now, I don't really this is in the Belfast Telegraph. I don't, I'm just reading you articles. I will try and find out what I can, but from the Spanish news, sometimes you find out a bit more. But this is the Belfast Telegraph. Concerns have been raised about the length of time it is taking the Northern Irish police to secure evidence from a phone believed to contain a treasure trove of information linked to the murder of West Belfast man John George in Spain last year. Oh, so by the way, all this happened just before Christmas in December. So poor John, his family and friends were over here in Spain looking for their son's body over the Christmas and New Year period. That's how they spent their Christmas and New Year. So apparently, according to Belfast Telegraph, the phone was handed over to the police 13 weeks ago and is currently with the PSNI's Digital Forensics Unit. And it's believed to belong to one of the killers of Mr. George. It was in the hands of a cyber criminal who had been offered payment to fully wipe not only the contents, but the digital footprint of the phone and all related location and social media data. So who do they mean by that? Who, when it says it was believed to belong to one of the killers of Mr. George, do they mean Michael Malley, or do they mean Johnny Smith? Anyway, after the significant payment promised to the criminal was not paid in full, they contacted the victim's family and offered to pass the phone on to them, and it was then given to the Northern Irish police. It is believed to contain horrific and graphic footage of the attack on Mr. George, a father of two. Let me just go to the next one. A father of two, and messages in the aftermath as the killers sought to cover up the murder with the help of others. The George family say they hope it will lead to charges being brought in this jurisdiction against people who aim to help cover up the killing. So it's like, oh my goodness. As I say, Michael Malley is free man at the moment, although he's on conditional bail. Johnny is in prison. Was it Johnny, or was it Michael, or were they all in it together? So I as I say, I just want to send my respect out to all John's family and love, because this will be difficult, because they're, how can I put it? They've been through enough already, haven't they? Really, a year of torment after they've lost, nearly a year of torment after losing John. And now all this, it's like, Anyway, Kevin Winters of KRW Law, who is representing the George family, said, "We've been liaising with the Irish police on the significance of the mobile phone data for some time now. We say This is highly significant and presents as a possible treasure trove of evidence implicating at least 2 other persons in Belfast with criminality. So it's interesting, isn't it? You know, it's hi Geordie. It's interesting. Who is it implicating? You know, I mean, Dan McMeekin is back in Belfast now, but you know, he says he had nothing to do with it, but he seemed to have know things about it. You know, it's a right mess, isn't it? The whole thing, and that's difficult for the family, I think. And then they said, we have made a case repeatedly to PSNI that they have jurisdiction to investigate despite the murder of John George taking place in Spain. Now, maybe they do have some jurisdiction, but really at the end of the day, they have to work with the Spanish police. You know, so I don't know if the Spanish police know about this phone or not. The recent authorization of a locally based Spanish lawyer to engage directly with the authorities gives us a much needed access to information in the criminal proceedings. Equally, it opens up a conduit for interfacing between the respective policing agencies, which in turn gives us leverage to have the phone data accessed. Well, someone's going to be able to access the phone data, surely. But do you know what? I've got to say, if anyone from the family is watching this, I'll give it to the Spanish police, let them sort it. They're good at what they do. You know, I know there's a language barrier. That's the problem, I think. But, you know, I would definitely trust them with this kind of thing. Mr. George, who was known to police, had travelled to Spain last December for a holiday but disappeared days later. His family launched a high-profile social media campaign and travelled to the Costa Blanca to search for him, but within days the missing person appeal became a murder investigation. And his body was finally found by Spanish police on January the 7th in a remote lemon grove. He had been stabbed and shot in the chest and face. 2 people have been arrested and questioned. Michael Malley from the Czech Republic, who was living in Spain, is currently on bail, and he's on bail because he cooperated. Johnny Smith from Newton Abbey, who was also residing in Spain, remains in custody. And that is because he went on the run. That's why they're not going to let him. I mean, you know, it's not rocket science. If someone goes on the run and tries to evade capture, you're not going to let them out again. Smith was extradited after being arrested in Braga, Portugal on March 25th. So he had gone on the run in the days after the murder and was living in a rented apartment with his partner Madison, who of course is now his wife, in the city where he was tracked down by Billy George, the father of the victim, who reported his location to local police and considered a flight risk. He has been held on remand in Spanish prison since his extradition. And in Spanish law, defendants are not charged with the offence they are suspected of until the first day of trial, which we don't know when the trial is yet. So, the Belfast Telegraph understands there are 1,300 pages of evidence currently before the court in Alicante linked to the suspects. No trial date has been set, but in April, the Spanish police said they had concluded the investigation and were not seeking anyone else in connection with the murder. And a spokesperson for the Civil Guard in Alicante said they had completed the investigation into the disappearance of Mr. George. Now, I don't even know how true all that is, you know, unless you actually spoke to the Guardia themselves. You know, I'd take everything with a pinch of salt, to be honest. So they said they'd found his body in Rocales after an intensive search of the area where they suspected the crime may have occurred. You know, I think you can never underestimate the Spanish police. I do think there's a little bit of, oh, you can't trust the Spanish police. If I had to choose, I would definitely choose the Spanish police every time. Before this discovery, officers had already identified 2 suspects in the murder. One of them was arrested the same day the body was discovered. That was Michael Malley. And they added that Mr. George was in the company of 2 people who became the main suspects in his disappearance. And they then requested a European arrest warrant, which saw Mr. Smith being arrested in Portugal before being extradited. Spanish police also released a video of property searches they conducted as part of their investigation, and footage from the spot in an orchard where Mr. George's body was found. The investigation is being progressed by Spanish police. The PSNI said they'll continue to assist them with any local inquiries, and relevant evidence received by the Police Service of Northern Ireland is passed to the Spanish police. Right, that's it. I'm back to the beginning there. So that's one article I wanted to show you, one thing that's being said. Just updates. As I say, you've got to take these things with a pinch of salt. I don't know. Hi, Michelle. I don't know what the... well, maybe, Michelle, there it's Johnny. I don't think it is. I think it's Michael. So, but maybe it is. So it seems like this phone has, appeared out of nowhere. I don't know. And this data, we'll see. We just have to wait and see, the Spanish police, they'll be progressing with their investigation, though they said they'd finished the investigation. So they've got a reason why they think that Johnny has done it. Maybe it wasn't Johnny, maybe it was Michael, maybe it was both of them, maybe it was someone completely different. But let's have a read of this. So this is another article that came up. Let me just share it. So there's Michael Malley there when he was being arrested there, taken to the court to give his statement, and he was then released, wasn't he? He was released on bail. So whatever he told the judge, they seemed happy to release him on bail. I don't know. There's John, bless him. And here's John with Johnny Smith. And, to me, no offense to Johnny, I don't know what happened or who did it, but it was Johnny who went on the run. I think that's a mistake that Johnny made, to be honest. I think he should not have gone on the run, because him going on the run obviously made him look guilty, for God's sake. So, according to the Sunday World, and I know it's maybe not the most reputable paper in some ways, but, I don't know, this is what they say. Pressure mounts to release John George murder suspect after blood found in his car. In car, not in Johnny's car. So, blood found on the co-accused license plates could lead to a dramatic shift in the investigation. I don't think for a minute that Michael Malley has had nothing to do with it. He knew a lot about it, but I think what's going to happen with this case, you're going to have Johnny saying Michael did it and Michael saying Johnny did it. Maybe they both knew about it, or maybe it was just one or the other. So it says here, according to Stephen Moore, on the 17th of August, solicitors were calling for the release of John George murder suspect Johnny Smith after it emerged that blood was found on number plates belonging to his co-accused Michael Malley. We can reveal that lawyers acting for the 27-year-old Newton Abbey man, who has been in Spanish custody for 6 months now without charge. See, they're making it, he won't get charged. He won't get charged until the day the trial starts. That's the way Spanish law works. The other thing is he wouldn't be in custody if he hadn't gone on the run. He would be on conditional bail just as Michael is, but he is a flight risk. I mean, not that it'd be hard to find him if he went to Northern Ireland, but at the end of the day, when someone goes on the run once, they're not gonna go to all that trouble and let him a chance of that happening again. So we can also reveal that they're saying now that the Spanish cops have made this dramatic breakthrough by accessing previously locked mobile phones. Whereas in the other article, it sounded more like it was the Northern Ireland police that had made this dramatic breakthrough. So, where's the truth? Czech national Mali was arrested earlier this year and appeared in court as a murder suspect, but the 32-year-old was released on bail and has yet to be charged with any offence. It's believed he has denied all involvement in the murder. Well, he's bound to, isn't he? He's not going to say, oh, yeah, I did it. At the end of the day, that's not going to happen, is it? But he's not going to admit it, is he? Most murder suspects are told to plead not guilty until it's absolutely guaranteed they can't get away with it. So again, it's going through the story of him being arrested in Portugal. He's not been charged with any offence. What? Don't they know how Spanish justice works? That's not him not being charged is not significant because nobody is charged until the trial starts. So it's not significant at all that he hasn't been charged yet. Anyway, then it's going to go on and talk about the story. But this is what's brought this on. I didn't know there was a hearing at Torrevieja last week, but during a special hearing, according to the Sunday World, it emerged that a report into blood samples discovered on license plates inside the vehicle. That's strange, isn't it? License plates inside the vehicle belonging to Czech national Mali had yet to be returned to the court, despite samples being sent for tests back in January. And it's not known if these bloodstains, they're saying, belong to 29-year-old. What? Well, do you know what? This is a crap paper. It is a crap paper. It says 29-year-old murder victim. He was 37. He was not 29. Anyway, it's not known if these bloodstains belong to 37-year-old murder victim, Mr. George. But Johnny Smith's lawyers are pushing for the forensics report to be sent to the court immediately and have even filed a motion compelling the forensic report to be sent to the court. So his lawyer, Francisco Botella, that means bottle, Francisco Bottle, has said in his motion to the court that they are formally requesting that a reminder is sent to the laboratory dealing with the samples. Listen, this is because it's summer and people don't understand what it's like in summer in Spain. All the courts stop working. Probably they're all on the holidays, or if they haven't stopped altogether, they'll be, working. This is when people have their holidays. That's how it is. July, there'll be a little bit goes on, but August, you're lucky if anything gets done. And he says in that motion, if the blood samples turn out to belong to John George, it could constitute a dramatic shift in the investigation. And if it's understood, should that be the case, it could be hugely beneficial to his client, Johnny Smith. Well, I'm sorry, like the Guardia, the Spanish police, they're not stupid. There's a reason why they think Johnny's guilty rather than Michael Mali. I mean, as I say, I have no clue who's guilty. But all I know is the Spanish police seem to think that Johnny's guilty. And of course, it was Johnny who went on the run. But there may be new evidence that's come out. Because it says here, the Sunday World can also reveal Spanish police were able to access 3 phones belonging to Mali, which until now had been locked, with Mali claiming he could not remember the passcodes necessary for opening them. Yeah, there he is. He used to be in the Foreign Legion, didn't he, Michael Malley? That's what they were saying about him. He was in the Foreign Legion. He certainly, he had a lot of arms, and he's not a saint. So apparently he had 3 phones seized when his house was raided by police during his arrest, but he's always said he couldn't remember the PIN numbers. And that changed in court last week when he was being questioned, according to this newspaper. That changed in court last week when he was being questioned by Johnny Smith's solicitor. When it was said that the phones in question were iPhones, it was made clear that those phones have facial recognition, and from that the phones were held up to Michael Malley's face with his agreement, and the phones can now be accessed. Well, I mean, what? Because if he gave his agreement, then he's not likely to be worried what's on the phones, is he? Anyway, and the team supporting Smith are becoming increasingly frustrated that he remains in jail without charge. Oh God, this is a complete load of cojones, isn't it? Yes, he's in jail without charge because he went on the run. Malley's on bail because he didn't go on the run. He went and sort of faced the music. So they're pushing for Smith to either be charged or released on bail. Well, good luck with that. The Guardia aren't going to listen to any solicitor trying to put pressure on them. They'll just do... The thing is in Spain as well, because it'll be the judge who decides it, to be fair, not the police. So the judge decides everything. So they may be lucky one day and get the judge to agree to him having bail. Personally, I don't think that'll happen just because of the fact of him going on the run, but I don't know. And they think that this could prove to be decisive in getting him released. Interesting. So the motion filed by his legal team states the Civil Guard report includes a forensic laboratory report, which following the discovery of bloodstains on the license plates found inside the vehicle, the samples were sent to the Secrin Biology Department and for DNA profiling in comparison with the known DNA of the victim, John Joseph Hardy. But it hasn't come back yet. But if it's confirmed that is his blood, it would constitute a drastic shift in the procedural situation. We'll see. So there's Johnny in happier times. Yeah. So I still think it's strange that he went on the run, and there he is, of course, with Madison, who is now married. She's only 19 years old, bless her, or she was. She may have turned 20 now. It's very young, isn't it, to get involved in all this. Case. Apparently Michael Malley has had to surrender his passport. He's not allowed to leave the jurisdiction. Now they're saying he must report daily to police. I don't think that's true. He doesn't have to report daily. I think it's it might be weekly or every couple of weeks. But do they even check anything is true before they write an article, this paper? Oh my God, this is just like, the Sunday, what is it, the News of the World, and that used to be. Why bother telling the truth when you can make it up? And there's, of course, Madison, who's a very beautiful girl, sorry, no offense, but I don't see what would she see in him? I don't know. I think you know, I don't know. Poor I feel for Madison just because of her age, I think. And what she's done, I think, you know, she needs to do. I hope she'll do the right thing in the end. But she's setting it. You know, if Johnny is found guilty, she's setting herself up for a lonely life, I think. Even though, you know, she's getting the conjugal visits, maybe she talked about having children and that, but, you know, if he's found guilty, he's not going to be there, is he, to help her? They're quite sad, really. Yeah. And of course, she sold her story to the Sunday World. She goes for I think it's once a month, you get the conjugal visits. But it must be a lonely life, really, when you think about it, if she's only seen him once a month, you know. Anyway, that's Madison's life to live. That's her choices she's got to make, but she's got a long life in front of her, that she'll have to live with those choices that she makes. So anyway, I wanted to update you on what was happening in this case because we've been following it. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Long way to go in it, but I feel sorry, you know, for John's family. I hope they get to know the truth of what happened. You know, if there is some proof on that phone, that's good because that'll make the case a lot easier. But of course, it'd be very distressing for them if they ever end up having to watch it. But you know, if there is some sort of footage, makes the whole case a lot easier in the sense of the prosecution. You know, if it's clear what's happened. So anyway, I'm going. So I just wanted to update you. I've got to go, but thank you so much for listening, for watching. Thank you for caring about John and especially his family, you know, what they must be going through. I think about them a lot, as I do about all the cases that I cover. It's a hard thing to go through. And as I've said many times on many of the different videos that I've done on different cases, we follow these cases, and this is one case that we follow. For these families, this is the only case. You know, it's not a case. You know, they have to live with it day in, day out. They have to get up every morning and feel the loss of John. For us, we cover different cases, doesn't affect our lives, you know, in a direct sense. So, you know, all the families of all the cases that we cover, I think about them a lot because, as I say, for them, their particular case of their family member or their loved one, that is the only case. You know, it's you know, it's their life, and they're living. These are real people, real things that are happening. So, okay. Oh, thank you for the candles. For those of you that put the candles up, got to find mine, and then I can't put them on where I'm going to go on to my other. Look, and put candles on here. Yeah. Do it on there. Where's my candle? You know, love and candles not only for John but for his friends and family, especially his sort of mum and dad, his sister, brother, etc., and his boys. You know, let's hope it all, one way or another, in the end, it'll be a mess and it'll take quite a long time, I think, but eventually there will be justice for John, I'm sure. So thank you for watching. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you. Bye.